Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the C podcast. This is episode number 2. Today's topic is about used equipment business in India. To set a context about this topic, used equipment business in India is still a highly or unorganized business. But obviously, there are organizations like Sriram Automall, which have been in this market for little more than 1 decade now, are some of these players who are trying to formalize this activity through proper business operations. And to talk more about this subject, I've got the director and CEO of the Sriram Automall Limited, India Limited, Mr. Samir Malhotra. Mr. Malhotra has over 3 decades of experience in the equipment and vehicle finance and related areas, allied areas. He has been the pioneering team member of this, which is part of the Sriram Finance Group. They have very uniquely created the brand of SAMIL, which is now India's largest physical marketplace for pre-owned vehicles and equipment. So Samir Malhotra, welcome to our podcast. Thank you for accepting our invitation. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dr. Mishra and C Podcast platform where we're talking about something unique and something different, which is nobody has spoken much about it. So I'll be very happy to be part of this podcast discussion to do something and talk about something about my pet subject, which is evolution of used equipment industry in the country.
Thank you. Welcome once again. And to take the conversation forward, Mr. Malhotra, tell us about your organization briefly for the larger audience to understand about your operation.
We at Shriram Automall, we are ISO 9001 certified company. We are STQC certified company, and we're a great place to work certified company. So it clearly shows that we have all the certification, right validation and certification in place. We are the largest digital pre-owned marketplace in the country now for vehicles and equipment put together. When we started our SAMIL journey in 2011, we were very small. Our first automall was started in Chennai on 26 February 2011, and from that day till date, we have not looked back, and we are in close to 120 cities right now, all across the country, all across the geographies. So every nook and corner of the country, any major cities, tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3, we have the presence. SAMIL and Steam is there, where we are serving all the users for pre-owned automobile and equipment users all across the country. We started with the commercial vehicle in 2011. We shifted our focus and added up equipment within 2 years, and then we never stopped. We added up commercial cars, normal cars, passenger cars, two-wheelers, three-wheeler buses, farm equipment. So we added up everything, and anything what can be running on the wheel has been part and parcel of our portfolio. We've been backed by Shriram Finance and Carted Track, both are listed companies. We are over 1,700 employees in 120 cities all across the country. We conduct both physical auction, which is all our 120 automalls. These physical auctions are happening. We do purely online auctions under cartedexchange.com and bids.samil.in. We also do valuation and inspection business through our Adroit Auto Inspection Company, which is the largest leading company in the valuation and inspection portfolio in the country. We also do car buying and selling helping car and buying selling for the dealers through Bluejack, our brand, and also into industrial auctions of properties and industrial plant and machinery through our 123done.in, our audio company as a company. So we have a holistic solution for everyone in the industry, whether it's a contractor, whether it's a OEM, whether it's a finance company, anybody related to equipment industry, we have the solutions available to them.
Fantastic. I think in the recent times, maybe 5-6 years, there have been a lot of digital platforms which have come up, especially in the automobile sector. I think, for example, the cardeco.com and things like that. So, uh, your when you started, you said February 26th, 2011, right?
Right,
So, this is kind of your anniversary time. I mean, anniversary month actually.
right.
Uh, so when you started, obviously you started physically, and when this switch actually happened from physical to physical, as you talk now.
Yeah, so our first platform we launched in 2013 in bits.samil, and we continuously working. Carted Exchange is equally old platform in the industry, and as being the pioneering into whether it's a physical auction or online auction or digital auction, which is presently we are doing. These are the pioneering concepts which takes time for anybody to understand and part of the whole ecosystem and part of the whole platform. And that's what we have done in the last over a decade. That we keep on educating the people, whether buyer or seller, helping them to grow their businesses. And also, we are growing in the country. Our footprints are growing, so we are trying to bring everyone together in this.
So obviously, the advantage of being there, present physically, and obviously digitally, I think everybody is present. That adds to the advantage of Sri Ram Automobile. I think that's clearly the case.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
we always believe that that used vehicle and equipment, like you cannot buy only digitally or by the reference. You have to have a feel and touch. Unless you check the used equipment, you can't buy it. That's a basic fundamental thing which you need to do. So we definitely create a right environment for everyone. But physical touch is very important in used equipment industry, and that's what we provide in by these automobiles.
Okay, so give us a sense of your, I mean, business volume in terms of numbers. I mean, you do both vehicle as well as the equipment. So, in a typical month, what kind of volumes you do, both physically as well as digitally, or we can say the overall monthly numbers, units.
Yeah, so we being the leading and largest player in digital marketplace in the country, we do over 20,000 transactions in any typical month, which is actual transactions are happening. We get close to 1 lakh listing, which is very large. We get around 1.2 million listing every year, which is makes us the largest platform again. And in that we get construction equipment plays a very important role. They are part and parcel of overall volume what we get. In that, close to 10% comes from construction equipment as a volume, but our almost close to 20% and the value terms comes from construction equipment, and which is growing year on year. We are our portfolio, our concentration on these values because they have a very high value transactions. So we our concentrations are much deeper and much closer with the customers in this segment. We we've been seeing that India is moving towards a very unique business model where when we started it was completely unorganized market, and slowly it's changing. We are being the leading player in this. We still feel our volumes would be very less, close to not more than 10 to 15% in the industry as compared to the overall volume available. So most of the volume goes to unorganized sector. So slowly the market sense is changing, people are changing, the industry habits are changing, people are understanding the uniqueness and the value of platform like us, and they're slowly shifting their transactions through the organized player, which gives them the much ease and much more intensity for them, much more clarity for them, much more easiness for them, and I think everything is more clear and transparent for them. That's why they go and move into this platform like us. So being overall as industry, we feel the construction equipment industry would be as big as new equipment industry presently in the country. So almost, if you're talking about every new equipment sold, equivalent to that one used equipment must be selling somewhere in the country also.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree, and I do understand. I mean, that the used equipment transactions still remain largely unorganized, largely unrecorded, I think the typical cycle is that the customer when he or she wants to sell or buy an equipment, the first call actually goes to the service engineer or the sales engineer of that particular OEM or the dealership, and it hardly goes beyond that, and then probably it goes to a typical agent or a broker in that area, and that's how it gets concluded. So I think you touched upon a very important point. I mean, the C market, I mean, the used C market has remained highly unorganized even today, despite players like you who are very established and present all across India with your offices. It has still remain. I mean, the business volumes which you have been able to get is still the tip of the iceberg. So what are the reasons for this? I mean, how do we try to address that issue?
Uh, I think if you see the global trend, especially in the developed countries, the trend is very clear. We almost have two or three uh, used equipment getting sold for every new getting sold in the developed country. So you can imagine the volume of use would be going. The trajectory would be much faster and higher in the future to come, and it will be much better. That's what we are talking about. For every new vehicle sold, there is two or three times the used vehicle going to be sold in the country. So that time will come definitely. And these all journeys are happening. The transition of the industry is happening. The new methodology by which people experiences and their habits are getting changed. And we have saw that it's a behavior, consumer behavior is changing in a way that the old is not new. So which means people are thinking and that the used equipment is as good as the new one, and they started changing their habit. There were a lot of myths around it, and one of them was pre-owned equipment are not reliable. So we have done a lot of discussions around it, and we found that it's not true. People have started accepting that the reliability, as if you maintain the asset is coming from the right hand, the maintenance of that equipment is in the right hand, and the people also having a lot of bigger construction companies and contractors are having right methods. A lot of warranties are already available by which assets or equipment goes through, and after that, these assets has still have a long life, and the life is still there. And there are a lot of contractors and construction companies looking for these equipments to buy, and that exactly happens, and they pass on the hand, and the asset life is still there. They still maintain it because for them this is the first time they're getting the asset, and slowly the even it helps in the time of inspection. People do the proper inspection, and according the right value is been derived on that. So pre-owned assets are equally reliable as the new one. The second myth was the resale value of pre-owned equipment is not there. In fact, it's quite untrue in a way that more value you get, you'll be losing less value in case you're buying a pre-owned equipment. And the reason is when you buy anything new, easily in the first year itself, you generally lose 15 to 20 to 30% some of the equipment types, the value. And after that, the depreciation of the real depreciation, which is not I'm not talking about your accounting depreciation, I'm talking about the real value of the asset. It doesn't drastically goes down. So if you're buying a equipment after 3 or 4 years of use, your depreciation and the market diminishing asset value is very low. So it doesn't reduces the value very fast. So asset value of 7 years old asset would be almost after 10 years, also after 3 years of use you want to sell, you'll be hardly losing 5 to 10% in the value. So that's the charm of the pre-owned or used equipment, where the value never goes down. You get the resale values very high even after using the asset for that period of time. And also another myth was that it requires a lot of cash from our balance sheet takes away, and these things are over now. We have seen a lot of finance companies, a lot of players are there. Banks, NBFCs are now ready to fund. They were reluctant, could be 1 decade back. Now people are with the when you have a right credit balance sheet available to you, the credits are available. You can take the exposure ready. There are banks, NBFCs are ready to take exposure. So cash is available. In fact, recently we at Shriram Automall, we have also launched Samuel Financial Services, which is you can buy now and pay later, which is a very short-term funding arrangement we given for our customers who want to arrange their finance. By that time, if they're looking for asset, we can help them for their temporary short-term needs. And we've seen that it's been accepted by a lot of players. A lot of our customers are happy to have these services from us. So these myths are changing the whole paradigm of this industry, and we are feeling and we're finding that the industry is going in the right trend, and unorganized to organized shift is happening very, very fast in the country.
That's very good. You mentioned about the financing option and the short-term financing option, what you talked about just now. What do you mean by that? I mean, is it for like 1 month, 2 month, like that, or what exactly? What is the meaning of short-term?
Yeah, that's by the time you're arranging the right papers or getting the right finance for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, that's a period, and you're looking for the asset is available, you want to buy, but your finance is still not ready for next 1 or 2 months. So we are helping the customers to for that gap period, and we're helping them to uh, getting the assets in their books. So that's what we are doing for a shorter time.
Great. I also know that I think I mean people across the industry know Sriram Automall for the large events what you conduct for the auctioning, and you yourself is an auction man much before Sriram. So take us through your auctioning life and I mean your prior experiences as well as what exactly you do in the auctioning in Sriram, and how is that actually helping, or how much of contribution you get in terms of business through these auctions?
So our prime method of selling is auction. Why we do that? We want to be transparent with all our customers. We want both buyers and sellers, they get the best of the both. Both sides get the best of the transaction. So we want to be transparent. We don't want to buy the asset and make some bigger arbitrage and then sell it to someone. We really want a transparent platform which we wanted to create, which we have been successful now. We are the largest marketplace where anybody want to sell, anybody want to buy, they come there, the transaction happens, highest bidder buys the asset, and the seller gets the highest price from the auction. What happens? So all this happened like over 20 25 years. I'm the used equipment industry. I'm been part of it, whether being head of disposal for one of the largest NBFC at that time for construction equipment, progressing from there to setting up the used vehicle auction company in the country, to joining the world largest auction house, which is industrial largest equipment industrial auction house in the world, being the country manager for taking out after the Asia subcontinent for 6 years and setting up their business in the country, travel all across almost 25 to 30 countries in the past 2 decades to learn the different methods and methodologies and practices of used equipment industry. So all of these things have brought me a lot of knowledge and understanding what could be best fit for the country. And with that knowledge and with the industrial practices all across global best practices, we brought in the concept of SAML, which is Shriram Automall, and we started it with that, looking into the best practices of the global with the best utilization and fitment for the Indian needs. We brought the best of the both worlds, best practices and the Indian needs, and we make it more localized version of auctions in the country and created SAML with that. We do reserved auctions, which is again unique, which again makes a lot of satisfaction to our sellers. We also that also brings the right value for the buyers, and we started with physical auction, which we do now close to 600 to 700 auctions every month. We do pan India, which makes us, you can imagine, every day there are 3, 4, 5, or 6 auctions happening in some part of the country at any moment of time. So it makes us very, very busy, this auction processes, where hundreds of buyers comes in the auto mall on that day, hundreds and hundreds of vehicles and equipment are there to sell on that day. So it's become a very, very interesting event what we do. So we help both buyers and sellers, and it makes very busy schedule. The equipment and vehicle has to come before that, and then it is to go back after that. So you can imagine that the vehicle and equipment transaction journey within 1 week in every automobile we are trying to clear, which is very unique again, because makes very busy our local teams within that 1 week, because we are doing every single automobile trying to do 4 to 5 auctions every month. So that's a physical auction. We do close to 2 to 3 thousand auctions, online auctions every month. So again, makes
Wow.
us very busy at that platform. We help a lot of banks, NBFCs, and also insurance companies, a lot of OEMs. They use our platform. We are some of the places we are almost exclusive partner to them, and we have a lot of buyers all across the country. Thousands and thousands of buyers added up every month. We close to 7 to 10,000 new buyers we added up every month. So we have a very big team who create the new buyers all across, who could be the buyers for these assets. And also we keep on meeting the sellers all across and helping them to get the new buyers, and also the existing buyers come back again and again. So it's a complete cycle by which we keep on growing. So our online auctions are very unique, where even one asset can be auctioned up to the large fleet also can be auctioned in a day, and we do that. We have also helped a lot of negotiated sale, which is you have an asset which is neither been auctioned, and after auction or before auction, sometimes we have a large fleet which can be negotiated for with the buyer, and we can do those transactions that we do sometimes when the assets are not in our automobiles. So mostly we use this services at that time. We recently launched digital auction, which makes us very unique now, where physically auctions are happening in the similar 120 cities, but digitally you can sit anywhere in the country, and you can watch and you can bid live at the same time when somebody sitting in the automobile is bidding at the same time. So you're competing with somebody sitting there physically, and digitally you're bidding. So it's a live feed given to the auctioneer same time, and your bid's been accepted. And that's where we are now all our auctions are digitally available, so they are live bid is available, services available for every single auction. So that makes us very unique. So all these learnings of decades and decades and decades has helped us to reach to this level of creating something unique, which is the best fit for the country. So that's where we are.
Fantastic. And obviously the you said 600 plus auctions every month. That's like a mind-boggling number. And over 2000 auctions online. That is every month. So I think those are mind-boggling numbers. So I don't think anybody in India is doing these kind of numbers. Uh, the question which comes to my mind is, you have such a large base of customer who have listed their assets, whether it is vehicle or equipment on the site. Uh, and if somebody is not taking part in an auction but is wanting to buy a particular asset, is it still that option is available, or that's not an option which is available?
Generally, we prefer to do through auction mode. As I said, we have a negotiated sale business model, which is for those assets which are not physically available in the one of our automobiles, or digitally also not available. Then so only on those assets we give this option to for people not to go on auction mode, but we can get the negotiation done for them for that asset and get the deal done. So that's only one option available.
Okay. So, I mean, just to rephrase my question, suppose somebody walks into the, let's say, to Hyderabad Auto Mall, and he or she is liking a property which is available with you and wanting to buy the property right now. I mean, this asset today. Is it possible even if he or she is not taking part in an auction?
No, because we already advertised that asset and a lot of people have seen it. So really we want the auction to happen, because that's the methodology by which we become faster and easier, more transparent. We want the best person, but he can, if suppose they are busy, so there are two options given to them. If they can't come on the auction day, one is the live bid. So sitting wherever they are, they can bid on that time and that asset. Second is proxy bid. So they can leave there, okay, I want this asset up to this price. If up to this price, nobody bidding, or this is my price on this asset. And so that's called proxy bid. So on the auction day, we take his proxy bid as his bid, and from there it goes from there. So in case he's not there, but his proximity bid is highest, he will still get the asset. So the solution is available.
Fantastic. Very interesting. So you mentioned obviously the used equipment market in India is as big or even bigger than the new machine sale, and this probably will further grow because of the emission norms or the changes or technical changes which are taking place right now in terms of the new emission norms and other things. So the new machines are obviously getting more sophisticated, and in the process also becoming little more expensive compared to the earlier versions, both in terms of technological improvements as well as in terms of, I think there are inflationary challenges, there are other challenges which are also adding up. So I do expect that the used equipment and used vehicle business will further grow. Uh, but just to get a sense, right now you are, as you mentioned, you do anything between 1,000 to 1,500 units of used equipment every month in terms of auction right now on a typical month. So how do you see this panning out in the next 5 years in terms of business volume and growth?
As we said, compared to developed economies, Indian market is still at a very nascent stage, and with the huge demand expected out of it. We feeling the when we started 10 years back, there was a very lesser competition in the organized sector. It is got towards maturity. More people are joining and they're trying to be part of the industry, and it's a good, healthy competition is always good because we have to make the market from journey from unorganized to organized. So that's going to be a very, very interesting journey, which we are being pioneer, and we are being spending a lot of energy and time and into everything. And we feel the more players, more people talking about same is always good. There will be more messages goes in the marketplace. We started the auction concept of physical, digital, now digital, negotiate, sale, everything is happening, and we feel with the concepts of more sale in the industry. We have seen now the industry is growing. At least everybody's talking about 10% growth this year. We feel the industry will be keep on growing with a lot of infrastructure boom is happening in all the sectors put together, which will definitely influence more of the equipment sale. And the past also, except could be COVID era and 1 year, 2 year here and there where volume didn't increase. We have seen the peaks in 2017, 18, and then we saw the decline, and then again the market is coming back to its right shape. So all these things, also with the better asset value and all, with the more contracts, more things, the more transactions will happen over a period of time. The more players will be very willing to sell, willing to buy. The new players will be coming in the industry who will be willing to buy the pre-owned. The existing players, which are bigger players, they might be looking for more new assets to buy, and so that they have to sell the old assets. And there could be different reasons, like government could sometime in the tendering norms, you have to have a different kind of assets to be in your balance sheet. So you need to buy those assets. Sometimes you'll be going for used assets because you have to have that asset in the balance sheet. Sometimes the 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 contract period is very short, and you taken that asset for a specific contract. So after the contract, you want to sell those assets. So again, those equipments will be available for in the used equipment industry. Sometimes the technology is changing, and the contracts what you are getting will not fit into that technology. You have to sell those equipment. Sometimes your financial condition is not good. You want to sell those assets. Sometimes all your contracts are over, your project is over, and you have to move to the new project. You want to sell all those assets in the complete project. So there could be different reasons for different people to sell their assets, that's equipment. So with that trends, as the economy is really going, the more people are joining the industry. The trends are very clear. Next to 5 to 10 years, we feel there has to be CAGR of around 10% in next 5 to 10 years, and we are we feel very strong about it. There is no doubt used equipment industry will grow with this CAGR, and we expect in a similar way there will be growth in the new equipment industry also.
Great. I think you have been traveling across the globe and you have actually seen what happens in the Western world. I think one thing which is very clearly missing in Indian industry, sea industry, is the absence of a very large scale rental player. Of course, there are rental players in India, but I think they are not as large players as like some of them in UK or USA or even Middle East. They are quite a big players with thousands of equipment. So that is one element which is still missing in India. So do you see some of these players from outside India, rental big players coming into India at some point of time? And with that, do you see a radical change in terms of the used equipment business and formalization of used equipment business? I mean, both are connected questions. I thought you would be in a better position to answer.
I've been studying the rental market for 20 years or more now. I traveled and met the top rental companies of the world. I've been to their head offices. I've understood the business concept. In fact, one of my assignments in the one of the earlier employer, I've been in the pioneer founding team where we started the rental business in 1999, 98. So it's not that the concepts and things are not there in the country. Definitely, we don't have a very large rental company, and generally, used equipment industry gets a lot of volume from the rental industry. Which our developed countries have very strong rental industry, and used equipment players like us generally get a lot of volume from those kind of companies. But fortunately, unfortunately, they are not in the country. But in the country, we have a lot of hiring companies, which is indirectly a smaller rental company. We have seen a lot of JCBs which are on hiring. We have seen a lot of excavator, compaction machine, cranes, all of them hiring and rental companies are there, but they are very, very niche. They are smaller companies. Some are very, very few are having a pan-India presence. So we have the concepts. It's not that we don't have a concept. There are people who are purely owning the assets, equipments, and they give on rent or on hire to the actual contractor or a construction company or a road contractor whosoever it is could be. So we have seen those trends, which is already happening for last 30, 40 years in the country. But you're right. The single pan India, big, large rental company per se, generally the rental stores are there. Those concepts are there. There's a very, very few things we have seen in the country, and it's a large scope over there. Whether somebody from internationally will come or somebody from India will do, time will tell. We are also equally eager something like that happen. But I think for the industry, the solutions are already there. A lot of hiring and rental companies are there. They're much smaller, much local, but the very, very efficient players are there in the country.
So at some point of time, SAMIL doesn't have the aspiration to become one in India.
Our hands are too full for the present things what we do. So I think we are very busy into what we have to build up. We have a long way to go. So we are very busy into what we are doing.
For you, it would be just one step into forward integration.
No, I think within what we do, there's a lot to be done. So we want to be more busy, more efficient, and much stronger player into our experiences. What we created a marketplace into used vehicle and equipment. So we would like to stick to that.
Okay, and in terms of the auctioning business which you do, and which is actually your core method of doing business, you do 100% business mostly through auctioning. Again, in India, I think auctioning is not a very established method. Of course, your organization is driving that as a pioneering step. And to a large extent, you've been able to drive that in both in automobile as well as in the equipment sector. But as such, again, auctioning as a concept in India, it is still a area which is going to improve further. So, what are the aspects which is actually holding it back, and what you see in future coming?
I think you're right. The education about the whole concept is the first and foremost challenge. People still yet to be educated. They yet to be part with their asset. That's the first was I think in the last 15, 20 years, slowly that has gone away that it is my asset, it belongs to me. So we want to own it for our life. So that concept is really changing. People are now ready to part away with their asset. And we're seeing the very good trend in the car itself. Cars resale as a used car is been become more aggressive and more bigger and more faster, and that clearly we've seen after that in the trucks and now the equipment market also, that people are ready to sell their fleet and assets much faster. It's not that they started feeling it's not my where I buy and my grandson should use it. So that's those concepts are slowly going away. We feel the physical movement of equipment is one of the major hurdle, which is they have to shift. So slowly that's getting with a better infrastructure. We found that the GST has brought us a lot of easiness to the whole transaction. Earlier, our VAT and sale tax regime and the octroys and all those border movements were a big bottleneck. So those things are going in the right direction now. The expectation sometimes the seller want to have a very high price, so that's one of the bottleneck. They don't see the market trends, they don't see the market price. One should realize out of it what is the market trend of last 2 3 years on that similar asset. So that's I think part of the negotiation what we generally carry on and try to convince them. uh, we see also finance still playing a major role into used equipment. We feel still more players are needed, more aggressive financing is needed in this. The RTO work we have seen now, a lot of new changes are happening, clear title transfer, all those, and RTO work, tax issues, all those regime was very high. Now slowly with the new RTO rules are coming, new we feel that will help industry a lot. There was a also a time when some of the wheel assets have not been registered at all. They were not been categorized in the road moving assets. They never paid any. There was no registration happen on those assets on those equipment. But now over a period of time, we found a lot of places now. A lot of RTOs are insisting that should be done. So if you have to sell the old equipment which was not done registration at that time, there was no route. You have to sell it now. So there is a challenge behind it. So we go through those issues, and also I think it all depends upon the economy, the construction industry and infrastructure industry, and so the more boom, more progress in this industry will help the used equipment industry to grow. So these are the major things what we feel we're going to help the industry per se.
So primarily the drive is in terms of growth because of the infrastructure which is increasing, and also ease of doing business. I think these are the two areas which is really going to help.
Absolutely.
Um, that's very good. So now coming, you have 120 branches all across India, 1700 plus manpower. So today's time, I think skilled manpower is something is a big challenge. So how do you first of all manage this big team of people, and how do you make sure that your people, whenever there is a need, there's constant process of getting the replacement and things like that. So how do you address the skilled manpower issue in today's times?
Yeah, I think that is one of the major challenge for us, which I miss. So uh, there is no one, there is no skilled manpower available for our kind of a business. So that's the major bottleneck. We have to get the right people from the sales background, and then have to train them into complete business of ours. And basically, we need the right person with the right integrity value, with the more aggression in the sales, and customer satisfaction should be the very high with the person. If that attributes person is carrying, then generally we hire them, and then we go to a lot of intensive training all across different segments and different operations of the company from one part to other, and they go through all those learnings, and then they are ready for the industry to serve. But yes, our attrition rate is very high because we are the only company in the country who has this kind of a skilled manpower, and they are very dedicated, motivated, and high-end skilled manpower what we carry with us. We spend a lot of time into selection, then the trainings, and then into execution, continuous help them to grow. That makes them the best player, best manpower available in the industry, and that's why we've been the only source in the country from where anybody want to start the business, they take the people from our company, and we are okay with that. We understand, and we keep on producing more people. We keep on adding more manpower. We are 1,700 employees, professionals all across the country, serving all customers all the time. And we are not bothered about how much we have to put efforts, time, money, energy to make the best manpower. We keep on doing those investments in the company. So we are there to serve the industry, and we'll keep on making these investments.
And specifically about operators, I think trained operators are basically key to proper usage of the machine and possibly also reduction in the cost of maintenance. So on that, are you making any specific investment or you have any plans to do that in future?
No, that's a very we don't do after that. So our specific need, we have operators, but they are mostly long term. They generally they can operate for in an automobile for a requirement of at that time, but they are we don't supply the manpower or operators along with the equipments what we sell. So it's not that. Then the people who buys, they have their own manpower or they take it from different sources. So we have very limited manpower requirements, which is mostly towards auction services and operate the auctions on that day. So that way we have the manpower with us.
So what is your sense of the C business uh, in the next 5 to 7 years?
As I said, internationally, globally, the equipment industry estimated to be around $100 billion size industry, and it's growing. And we're talking about next 5 years, they'll be growing by close to 25%. So that's again a very big volume globally for everyone. Indian market, we see that population of the India is growing. The shift of urban urban India is very very huge. The thrust of the government and every party, every political party, every government is to have the better infrastructure. Even the state governments are pursuing that as their agenda. So all this put together, we feel Indian equipment industry also will be growing around 10% at least over year on year. And we are right now talking about, if you talk about major equipment, we're talking about 35,000 backhoe loaders, 25,000 excavators, we're talking about 10,000 cranes getting sold overall between 1 lakh, 1 lakh 10,000. If you put together everything, 1 lakh 20,000 equipment being every year in the country.
Every
So,
year.
which makes it very, very large numbers, and it will keep on growing. It will be, we're expecting 10% at least to grow. And same way for the used equipment industry, we feel the volumes are close to 10,000 a month happening all across the country every month. We being we have more than 10% market share in this as in date, and this is going to increase year on year as the new equipment sale will be increasing, as the demand will be increasing, as the economy will be growing, as the population will be growing, as the urban shift will be happening. Everyone will grow along with it.
Fantastic. You are already there in 120 locations across India. So obviously, if I look at the number of districts across India, so any plans to map all district with Sriram Automall?
Uh, we uh, we are already working towards it. We have the next model ready now, which is we call it Shriram Mini, and which is much smaller areas we are going, smaller cities we are going with a much smaller setup, which is going to be more nearer to our customers. And also along with it, we are looking into now our franchisee model, how we can create more partners with us to make the success story next level. So definitely we are looking for all these cities which has the potential for equipment industry. We are aggressively looking into those cities by different means now, whether we go directly as automall or we create a SAML mini or go to franchising model. All three are options are available, and we are exploring all across. And definitely we'll be going into all those cities where potentially our customers need us. So our plans are there. Next couple of years we'll be expanding like this.
Mr. Samir Malhotra, thank you for taking time and talking to us. I think this is a fascinating subject. I know it is, as we speak, still largely unorganized, but huge potential for growth. both in terms of the used equipment sale, as well as the auctioning as a concept, as well as the concept of huge, large size rental company coming into India. I think these are the space, I think all the sea industry professionals should be looking out, and they should be watching out this space. And I'm sure Samil and with leadership from Mr. Samir Malhotra will be leading the way on this initiative. Uh, Thank you so much to be part of this podcast today.
Thank you, Dr. Mishra, and thank you, C Podcast Platform. I think our industry will definitely get benefit with what we have spoken today, and all the best to the whole construction equipment industry for a bright future. I am Samir Malhotra, proud Samir.